The 8,000 meter peak pre-monsoon climbing season is upon us. It's an exciting time of year. It's when all people from around the world are gathering at Mount Everest and all the other mountains in the Himalayas and beyond to climb the mountains that they've been dreaming about for months, even years. Today, I have a great interview with Explorers Web's Angela Benavides from her home in Spain, and we're going to talk about the more notable attempts that are happening on Mount Everest, on Manaslu, and on Annapurna, and how things are going there. Last week, I posted a short video about Kristen Harila in her attempt to climb all 14 8,000 meter peaks in only 6 months. She's starting on Manaslu. Here's the short that I did. Let me take it to you now. Boom. The Himalayas are heating up with expeditions getting underway for the pre-monsoon season. On Manaslu, Kristen Harila wants to climb all 14 8,000ers in 6 months. But Manaslu, the first on her new list, is not cooperating. With these time constraints, the team appears to be taking risks by trying to progress despite unstable snow. This weekend, an avalanche partly buried several Sherpas hurrying to Camp 2. Climbing a peak in good time with an eye on safety is one thing. What do you think about trying to cram 14 8,000 meter peak expeditions into 6 months? So as you can see, the weather is not cooperating. The mountains always have a different objective than we do as human beings, trying to place our ego and our ambitions upon it. It's an interesting time of year. I want to take you to that interview with Angela, who talks not only about some of the more notable attempts, but about the big money business of commercial expeditions on the 8,000 meter peaks. And we also discuss a little bit about the Sherpa factor. Are the Sherpa being exploited by people going in with their ambitions and their dreams, asking them to go to places that they're unwilling to go to, or are they going on their own accord? That's a very important and interesting question that I know a lot of you will want to find out more about, so stay tuned for that. Before we go to the interview with Angela, I want to ask, if you are interested and you appreciate these videos, please click that subscribe button, but you don't have to. I'm just saying it's a nice way to show me that you are interested in what I'm bringing you. But also, if you want to go the extra step, click the join button and have a look at the membership levels. That's a way that you can join a community that wants to support me in my endeavors, so I can bring you more content more often on this channel, Everest Mystery. Now to that interview with Angela Benavides. We started by talking about Kristen Harila's attempt on Manaslu and how things aren't going quite the way that she was hoping they would.
Yeah, well, Christine is actually not on Manaslu anymore. She left the mountain.
Is like gone?
You know, there is this system focused on climbers who want to summit more than one peak within the season, which requires a lot of logistics and good weather. Logistics are there this year, but the weather is not collaborating. And that's what's happening on Manaslu and Annapurna. Mountain action should have started on Manaslu and Annapurna already. There are quite a lot. There are some teams there. And we're waiting for the higher peaks, right? For Everest and Lhotse, Kanchenjunga and Makalu. So the problem in these peaks that were supposed to be the first climbers would do, they are relatively lower 8,000ers. The thing is that the weather is not collaborating. It's been snowing, especially in afternoon, evenings, like nearly on a daily basis. And this is a big deal on Manaslu. And this is the difference between life and death on Annapurna. You know, Annapurna is very avalanche prone, especially there is a section between Camp 2 and Camp 3. Mm-hmm. The mountain is not on condition. It's overloaded with snow. It's very dangerous. The rope fixing team is, wow, taking quite a lot of risks to get the job done. They managed to set up Camp 3. I don't know if it was yesterday or 2 days ago, very recently, very carefully, taking quite a lot of risks, but they definitely cannot sell dozens of climbers clipped to a fixed rope to go up the mountain right now. So they have delayed the summit push 3 times already. So what you have is some climbers who have been on the mountain for a month without being able to get any higher than Camp 2.
It begs
That's
the
the
question.
mountain.
Yeah, so good times. So the people who are trying to cram many peaks into this season, including Christine, 6 months is the goal for all 14 8,000-meter peaks. It does beg the question. So here, as you were saying, here are teams of Sherpa pushing the fixed lines up a mountain. Are these movements on the mountain for the Sherpa, their companies, their commercial expeditions, or are they being pushed forward by independent climbers with those ambitious goals? Like, are they the sharp end of a spear for the ambitions of a few?
I hope not. Things have changed a lot in Nepal, and the outfitting companies and the Sherpa guides are smart enough, experienced enough, and they made money enough not to risk too much. So I don't think it's a question of being pushed too much.
That's good.
I cannot read their minds, but sometimes it's an attitude, right? It's personal attitude that, yay, we can do this. It's really difficult to judge. I mean, I cannot judge from here. And there was some debate regarding Manaslu, where Christine Harila, she wants to do something which is extremely unlikely, right? It can be done, and she nearly made it last year, but try to be so lucky twice. Okay, that takes a lot of luck. What she wants to do, she wants to summit the 48,000 in 6 months, which requires, of course, a lot of power and iron will, but it requires some luck too with the weather and conditions. So I don't think Christine or anyone can push or can pressure. Well, I will not generalize on something like that. I'm sure there are pressures, and there's a lot of money involved, right? So I cannot talk about anything, but I don't feel that the Sherpas are easy to, I was going to say manipulate, right? Yeah. It happens. We all take risks, and each person has a different risk threshold. So sometimes, money helps, and the faster you get to a mountain, you can go to another mountain, and they make a lot of money on this. So I mean, it matters. It's important for them. But I think it's more a personal choice, a personal attitude, right? And the fact is that on Annapurna, I was not there. I cannot tell, and I lack the knowledge to evaluate how risky it was. The thing is that they went up very carefully with lots of effort in very deep snow. They set up Camp 3, they came back, and then they say, okay, we need to wait for probably a week. And that's how this season working. So for those aiming to climb many peaks, probably some of them they felt optimistic after last year, when it was not only Christine, there was so many climbers hoping from one base camp to another. Because what you need to do with this plan, the first 8,000 that you climb, it has to be not one of the tallest, if possible. They try to acclimatize at the same time in the summit, and in the process they acclimatize for the other peaks, and then they don't need to spend too much on the other peaks. They just need to know when the weather's right, when the ropes are fixed, and they just use the helicopters, which are everywhere in Nepal, and they launch a summit push in 1 day, 2 days, and then the following morning they are in a different base camp. We saw this last year, but that's not the norm. That's not normal. That's something you cannot take for granted, and that's what happened in this year.
Yeah. Moving on real quickly, Everest, without talking about the big numbers, there are 6, at least so far, that I've heard of that are endeavoring to do it without oxygen. Do I have that right? Is that generally people going the no O2 route, somewhere around that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a fixed number. At least those are the climbers who are announcing a no oxygen climb.
Yeah.
Especially, and I've been, because, on Everest is a very tall mountain. I mean, it's not an 8,000. This is nearly a 9,000er.
Mhm.
It's very expensive. It takes a lot of effort. And one thing is to try to
Mhm.
climb no oxygen. And the different thing is to decide when you see it's not going to happen that way, if
Mhm.
you switch to the mask and regulator, or if you just retreat. So that's a difficult decision. It's usually not the same number of people who announce a no oxygen climber and the number of people who actually keep loyal to that style.
Lastly, while we wrap up, and this is just kind of a general overview, there is a new rope fixing team setting the ropes up, or is that the higher part of the mountain that's been switched out? And in that double question, I've heard that that team is also going to be removing old ropes in the process, but I don't know how far. This is all I heard, just little whispers of this.
Oh, well, the Khumbu Icefall is fixed every year by a Sherpa team called the Icefall Doctors.
Mhm.
They are managed and paid by a non-governmental organization from the Khumbu. It's a local organization. It's called the Sagarmatha Pollution Committee Control Committee. So what has changed this year is who is going to lead the rope fixing from Camp 2 to the summit.
Yeah,
This
right.
is decided by another institution in Nepal called the Expedition Operators Association. In the last years, it was always managed by one of the outfitters, the biggest one right now, which is called Seven Summit Treks. And the thing is that they had this guy called Kami Rita Sherpa, who usually led the rope fixing team. Of course, when you are in the rope fixing team, you are the first one to reach the summit of Everest. And last year, he summited Everest for the 26th time, right? That's why the rope fixing team on Everest had this attraction, checking Kami Rita in action. So this time, there is a different team. It's called Imagine Nepal. It's also a big outfitter. They're very experienced, and they are in charge of fixing the rope. So they will be most likely the first one reaching the summit of Everest this year. As for Kami Rita, he is back to Everest, not rope fixing, but leading one of the teams. And he is ready to summit Everest for the 27th time.
Incredible. That's just crazy stuff.
There's one thing I would like to mention. We have a team going to the Annapurna northwest face. They want to open a route there, alpine style. The climbers are Felix Berg from Germany, Adam Bielecki and Mariusz Atala. They're both from Poland, and they're cutting-edge climber, excellent climbers, and that is a big challenge. Annapurna northwest face has been only climbed once by Pede Habeler and Reinhold Messner, and it's 3,000 meters tall, so it's going to be a great challenge. And then we have some skiing teams, right? We have another Polish guy, Bartek Tiemski, on Annapurna Manaslu. He wants to ski down, and two Russian climbers. They always try to ski in several 8,000ers. It's Vitaly Latso and Anton Pogetkin, and they want to go to Everest. They want to go to Everest without oxygen and then ski down. Let's see how they go. Worth covering.
That stuff gets me on the edge of my seat.
It happens with us. It's what we always say. I mean, these people going in commercial expedition, they are doing nothing illegal. It's just fine. It's like going to the Alps with a guide, and it's great for them. It's I'm sure it's a super rewarding individual achievement, but it's just something different. And mountaineering, as we understood it, with all its uncertainty, it's a different game. So it's good to have that game still there up on the mountains. And then I wish all the best to climbers doing the best in a commercial teams. I wish all the best for Nepal, which can develop and can improve. And hopefully, the better it goes for everyone, the better it will go for the country. So it's just probably two different games going on in the same place.
Angela, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. For the viewers, if you have any thoughts, I would love it if you shared them in the comments below. Click a like so people know to come and find this video. In the coming weeks, I'm going to be putting together a video about the garbage and human waste problem on Mount Everest and beyond, and also talk a little bit more about the rope fixing on the mountains and what happens to all those ropes that are left there from previous years. So in the meantime, thanks for being here. Take care of yourself and take care of those that are around you. We only have a short stint on this planet and we don't know how short it's going to be. So think positively, guard your thoughts, be aware of our surroundings, do not judge, and make the best of each day. Thank you for being here. Have a good one. Peace out, my friends.